You get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir.
You loved the first list, so we're giving you more of the top 10 fast food items that totally failed in America. Part 2.
It's showtime.
Grilled cheeseburger melt. Friendlies.
When did this place get so friendly?
Every once in a while, in the pursuit of new customers and increasing sales, restaurants offer up some of the biggest caloric foods on the planet.
Yeah, it's a big steak. I mean, every steak is not exactly the same size.
Items like the Double Down from KFC and the Priazzo from Pizza Hut were nothing when compared to this absolute beast of a burger. This sandwich was just as intense as the name that preceded it. The burger melt was just like a standard burger with a beef patty and classic hamburger toppings, but instead of using burger buns, it was stuffed between two massive grilled cheese sandwiches.
Ah, grilled cheese.
This sandwich was a sight to behold. The calorie count was as astounding as the sandwich at over 1,500 calories for only one sandwich. In addition, it also guaranteed customers nearly 100 grams of fat. Anyone hungry enough to take down an entire Friendly's grilled cheeseburger melt should probably win a prize just for their effort. Breeze. Dairy Queen.
It was a breeze, brother.
The Dairy Queen Breeze had a simple intention: to recreate the iconic and classic DQ Blizzard in a healthier way by using yogurt instead of the classic soft-serve ice cream.
People love frozen yogurt. I don't know what to tell you.
Which honestly doesn't sound so bad. Unfortunately for the brand, it seemed that this was the farthest thing from what customers were hoping for. The Breeze was largely considered to be a failure in many ways. Despite executives' certainty that the frozen yogurt would be welcomed by the young 90s generation who were obsessed with hopping on new trends, it seemed as though most people still ordered the classic option over the new, healthier version.
What?
One of the biggest issues with the product was the waste. While many fast food ingredients are shelf-stable, the frozen yogurt would often expire long before it had the opportunity to be consumed by customers. Eventually, the item was removed from the menu boards and it faded into memories, just like mist in the breeze. Oreo pizza. Domino's.
They haven't really improved on the Oreo, have they?
Even though Domino's has one of the best dessert options of all time with the marbled cookie brownie, there have certainly been a few failures in their history of crafting the perfect end to a pizza night. Arguably the worst item ever served at any Domino's location was the Oreo pizza. In theory, this pizza sounds absolutely incredible. Almost everything that Oreo has ever been combined with would leave customers drooling and begging for more. In the case of the Oreo pizza, however, one bite was more than enough. Considering it sold for around $4 nationwide, the price point for a family dessert was certainly cheap enough. It seemed that the quality was reflective of the price. When this monstrous dessert was released in 2007, it seemed obvious that there were more than a few problems. If the flavorless crust wasn't chewy, it was completely dry, and it was topped in nothing but white vanilla icing and Oreo crumble pieces.
This is too sweet.
If this dessert sounds far too sweet, customers agreed, and it wasn't long before the Oreo pizza disappeared from the Domino's menu. Mixed spaghetti. McDonald's.
It's a spaghetti dinner.
But we don't make spaghetti.
McDonald's is well known in North America for its classic selection of burgers, fries, and assorted sandwiches. This really was the burger joint that started it all. That is why it's so surprising to learn that McDonald's has taken a few major missteps in its history of serving the American public. One of the worst American menu disasters of all time was actually one of the most unexpected McDonald's menu additions. McDonald's Mixed Spaghetti was released to the American market in the 1980s and was poorly received.
When don't you like spaghetti and meatballs, huh?
Apparently, the spaghetti actually had quite a nice flavor and consistency, but the interest just wasn't there. McDonald's quickly realized that its major mistake had not been with the product, but with its target audience. Americans were not buying into the McD's take on a classic Italian meal, but customers from the Philippines Philippines absolutely adored the concept.
One is your locker, the other is a garbage dump in the Philippines.
It was moved to the regular menu in the Philippines and is often served with other international favorites such as fried chicken. This is truly the definition of beauty being in the eye of the beholder. Mighty Wings, McDonald's.
How about this? Chicken wing.
Many would expect McDonald's to be able to succeed at anything it sets its mind to, and that includes the very big chicken wing market, a rising star in the U.S.
Who wants to eat some delicious chicken wings and get crazy?
Chicken wings?
Considering that McDonald's has been extremely successful with chicken items in the past, how could wings go so wrong? Just think about those delicious McNuggets. Yum. Unfortunately, the Mighty Wings did not join their fellow chicken comrades at the McD's Hall of Fame. It may have been because of McDonald's overconfidence in their product, but they simply did not take off as well as was hoped. To begin, the wings were not in line with McDonald's classic value meals. The wings averaged around $1 a piece, which put them at a significantly higher price point than their competitors.
$1? I've never seen $1. Nobody's got $1.
This was also intensified by the fact that other chains often offer half-price wing nights that are incredibly popular, especially at sports bars, and McDonald's did not follow the trend. Although the wings were reportedly juicy and had a nice flavor, if not a little too spicy for some, it was not enough to make this promotional item a success, and they quickly disappeared, lasting less than a year on menu boards. It appears that the McNugget will always reign supreme in the McDonald's chicken world, and we can't say that we're complaining. Mick Hot Dog, McDonald's.
Ask me about my winner!
The two most classic dishes to serve at a barbecue are hamburgers and hot dogs. Since McDonald's had easily mastered the burger half of this iconic duo, it seemed like a logical next step for the company to introduce their own version of a hot dog. One of the McDonald's founders, Ray Kroc, vowed to never allow hot dogs to be sold at McD's locations due to their lack of quality control. Never! McDonald's prided itself on its high-quality ingredients, and it was viewed as a downstep to offer such low-quality food despite demands. Fast forward to the late 1980s, commercialism had fully swept the fast food market, and it seemed that the valued sentiment of Ray Kroc was suddenly an outlandish idea of the past. The Mick Hot Dog has had some long-standing history at locations outside the United States, such as the Toronto Zoo and Rogers Center, a major sports center in the city. Although the hot dogs were relatively popular, supposedly they were only ever brought to the United States in small promotional settings and for a brief stint at a few Midwestern locations. Since then, the Mick Hot Dog has traversed the planet, making its way to location after location, including in Japan and Germany.
Trip to Germany. Germany is awesome.
Despite this item never truly finding a home on the McDonald's menu in America, considering the country's obsession with hot dogs, maybe the Mick Hot Dog will once again make an appearance in the USA. Enormous omelet sandwich, Burger King.
Am I having a stroke or is someone making an omelet?
Although Burger King has a less than stellar reputation in terms of health standards when it comes to their menu items, this next product's nutrition facts are easily some of the most difficult to digest, so to speak. This monstrosity was released to help conquer serious morning hunger. You know, for the days when an entire omelet is not enough to satisfy your morning hunger craving.
Oh boy, I'm so hungry I could eat a horse.
The enormous omelet sandwich was an entire egg omelet turned into a breakfast sandwich. The sandwich started with a fluffy 2-egg omelet. From there, Burger King staff added gooey, melty American cheese, bacon slices, and an entire sausage patty. What, no room to stuff a hash brown in there too?
Brainstorming here, what about hash browns?
No, because hash browns are potatoes.
Unfortunately, despite a huge love affair between customers and this sandwich, American nutritionists realized that this sandwich was a serious concern. After multiple reports came out indicating the insanely high sodium levels and high calorie and fat count, Burger King had to make a difficult choice, and it was eventually removed out of concern for consumers' health. Despite issues in the United States, this menu item is still a popular option on the Canadian Burger King menu, meaning that our neighbors to the north may still be able to snag one of these tasty treats. Queso Chipotle.
Okay, so...
Did someone say queso?
Perhaps no other restaurant has swept up customers at such a speedy rate than Chipotle. Unlike the other restaurants listed, Chipotle is a relatively new competitor. It was founded in a renovated ice cream shack in Denver, Colorado only 25 years ago. With fresh and delicious ingredients, Chipotle is akin to a more authentic Mexican experience in comparison to the tycoon giant that is Taco Bell.
You want to go to Taco Bell? I can't go to Taco Bell. I'm on an all-carb diet.
Regardless of their fast track to success, even Chipotle has made a few major errors in regard to their menu options. One of the universally considered worst decisions in their history was the development of their custom queso sauce. It seems impossible that any cheese sauce could make a burrito worse, but Chipotle seemed to tackle the impossible. The Chipotle queso was widely hated by customers. The lengthy list of confusing ingredients involved in the queso didn't exactly live up to Chipotle's promise of natural and fresh ingredients. Besides that, the taste was just as disappointing as the ingredients. The consistency was supposedly somehow grainy and watery all at once, and was a complete letdown in terms of flavor.
Thick, thin, watery, syrupy.
We're probably better off without the queso anyway, so splurge for the extra guacamole instead. Pickle-O's, Sonic.
Looks like we're in a pickle. Pickle.
It seems strange that Sonic was unable to make a success out of its version of deep-fried pickles. After launching the product to relative success and positive reviews in 2003, Sonic decided to bring back the Pickle-O's for an encore. The deep-fried pickles were served sliced rather than speared, which may have had something to do with why they failed so bad.
Don't spear me!
Many restaurants in 2020 choose to serve their deep-fried pickles in spears, which makes a significant difference. The spear shape allows the pickle to remain crispy throughout every bite, while the slices tend to turn the pickle soggy, which would leave customers with more of a hot, vinegary pickle instead of a salty, tangy snack. It seemed that one of the biggest issues was a lack of unanimity among customers.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Come on.
Despite the sad fact that these little beauties were removed from the menu shortly after their launch, some Sonic superfans claim not all is lost. Supposedly, Pickle-O's are still available on the Sonic secret menu, and many locations are still willing to whip up a batch. Shake 'em up fries. Burger King.
Shake it! Shake it!
Burger King's fries are less than phenomenal. They're good, yes, but not exactly the jaw-dropping kind of good. However, in attempts to increase buzz and add flavor to their fries, they have launched several failed products. First, there were the Satis Fries, Burger King's disappointing and expensive take on healthy fries that never actually followed through on the nutritional benefits.
Well, I'm not completely satisfied.
This time, it's Burger King's Shake 'em Up fries that are the focus of one of BK's major no-nos from the past. These fries were mainly marketed towards children, which is a strange stance for a restaurant to take. Typically, they want to attract children but still impress parents, since they have the money. In the case of the Shake 'em Up fries, though, both parents and kids were left disappointed by this distasteful side dish. The fries were served with an extra bag and a packet of cheese powder.
Yes, I think that is the mac and cheese powder I used.
Customers were then supposed to shake them up in order to cover the fries in as much cheese powder as possible. Unfortunately, it seems that customers quickly realized the fries were much better without the instant mac and cheese packet, and the fries were soon pulled from the menu, just like many other Burger King products of the past. Stick around for another great video and tap that screen. Thanks go out to all our subscribers. Be sure to ring that notification bell.